Hey, it's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. I'm going to review some segments of episodes 3 and 4 of the Ultimate Self-Defense Championship. I'm not going to take an exhaustive look at the whole thing, but a few segments I do want to give some commentary on. First, a short section about something Icy Mike said, which I think is really important, and it deserves a lot more attention than it got on the show. So we did this circle drill.
Technically, I knew what I was supposed to do. But the people that say size doesn't matter, I'm like, press the guy's guard, like knife through butter, then get immediately rolled because it was just strong.
Must be like a 50, 60 pound difference with some of those dudes.
It's brutal.
Okay, that right there. It might seem like a small thing, just a passable detail. Oh, those guys were 50, 60 pounds heavier than Mike, and so he had a hard time. And he's absolutely right when he harps on those guys who say, oh, size doesn't matter. Of course it does. It absolutely does, man. Okay, these guys were about my size. I'm like 200-something pounds. I lost a bunch of weight right before I went to this, had a bad case of COVID, lost 30 pounds, so before COVID, I was like, 235, something like this. I went into this competition about 205. But anyway, I'm sparring with guys about my size. No big deal. It's like going up against some aggressive white belts while giving them certain advantages, letting them start while my eyes are closed. Basically sparring with white belts with a handicap. So for me, no big issue, right? For Mike, on the other hand, he's not a big dude, man. He's not a big dude. Mike has a lot more fighting ability. How can I put this? Mike has a lot of knowledge and a lot of moves he's able to do. And he knows how to apply these moves in real life. But at the same time, there is a threshold of size and strength where it doesn't matter, where the size and the strength can't overcome the technique. And we saw that a number of times. So, again, for a guy Mike's size to fight guys my size or bigger who are being very aggressive, who are coming at him with bad intentions, that's rough, man. That's really rough. So, man, my heart went out to Mike in that moment. So if you didn't see my previous commentaries and you don't know my situation, I am partially blind with the headgear on. It blocks off my peripheral vision, making me essentially mostly blind. So, man, this, like everything else, wearing the helmet was just stupidly insane, to be honest. Stupidly insane. So Rokas is explaining the doors that we can escape from. We're standing about maybe 100 meters away from the building. Now, even without the helmet, disregard the blind spot, I'm still super nearsighted in the part of my vision that actually does work. Super nearsighted. So we're being explained, go out that door, go out this door. You can escape. And I'm like, okay, none of that makes sense because I can't see what you're pointing at. I'm going into this competition like all the other ones with the helmets on, effectively blind. So I don't know where the exits are. They lead me into the building, set us up in a room, and have us wait because I'm in team number 2. Team number 1 goes first. Team number 2, we're waiting in this room. We're coming up with a plan. It's me, Jeff Chan, and Matt, and we came up with about 4 different plans. All of them were actually pretty good. We didn't follow any of them. So in this episode, I would like to hypothesize about what might have happened if we had followed those plans. I also didn't know which tree we were supposed to be running to. They're like, run to that tree. I'm like, we're in an area with a bunch of trees. Again, I'm effectively blind here, so whatever, I'll just run for it and hope for the best. Maybe I'll make it to the right tree, maybe I won't. I don't know, just run for a tree. The short montage of the competitors running into the building while being chased. You notice this guy right there, that's me. I'm like, 20 meters behind everybody else. Why? Why? Because it's very difficult and painful for me to run at this point. I've been, how long? 3, 4 days sleep deprived? I don't even remember. But my joints are breaking up at this point. My joints are breaking up from the sleep deprivation. This is why I keep harping on this so much. Sleep deprivation is dangerous. It is super dangerous. When we were told, as soon as I got off the airport, and I said, look, I haven't slept in 2 days. 2 days. I need a bed. And I was told, no, we're starting the challenges. My initial reaction was to say, screw you, screw this, I'm out. I came this close to saying that. But I'm a little too nice, I think. A little too nice for my own good. Anyway, 3 days of sleep deprivation? Oh man, that's murder on your joints. I keep bringing this up because this ended up resulting in a serious injury later on that I've been living with to this day. So I got off the airplane. They pick us up from the airport. I haven't slept in 2 days. 2 nights without sleep. And they tell me, we're doing the first challenge. I'm like, screw that. They say, oh, but it's an easy one. We're just doing sumo wrestling on the beach. I'm like, all right, fine. Fine, I'll do it. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, sleep deprivation is murder on your joints. That's been my experience. When I dislocated my left shoulder, oh man, it was because I was seriously sleep deprived. And a simple shoulder throw that I would have just brushed off like it was nothing ended up being a catastrophic injury. So I went into this very worried about my health and safety, to be honest. You know, I know it's just like a fun little game, but fun little games can have serious repercussions when you're dealing with serious sleep deprivation.
Keeping your ground and staying on your feet is very important, as you're much more vulnerable to attacks when on the ground. As soon as one of the competitors will touch the ground with both knees, hands, or one of each,
you're much more vulnerable to attacks from multiple opponents when on the ground. If you're fighting one dude, if your jiu-jitsu is better than his, he's toast, man. If your jiu-jitsu sucks, you're toast.
Seth, he was doing these sumo stretches the whole time. I'm like, dude, can you not do sumo stretches? It's freaking me out. When I heard that it was a beach one, essentially just pushing people around, it's the best thing it could have been for me.
If you don't know, Seth is really good at sumo wrestling. He's fairly new to it, but he's competed. He has this awesome video. Awesome video. It's like one of the most inspirational videos I've seen. It's like the Karate Kid, but in real life, and sumo instead of karate. And it's awesome. Go watch it. It's great. I think Seth has a lot of popular videos. I mean, it's not underviewed, but it's underviewed. Go watch it. He competes in this tournament. He does really well. He does some really good stuff, and it just keeps you on the edge of your seat to the very end. It's awesome. So Seth has some talent for sumo. So, yeah, watch out for this guy in the sumo competition.
When I was 4, I started eating protein bars to play professional football one day. I was being bred for that. Now I push people around in the sand pits.
Haven't slept for 2 days. Had a huge flight to get here. Jeff Chan, we arrived at the same time. He was also pretty sleep deprived. We just kept looking at each other like, there's a challenge today. Oh man, just want to take a nap, man.
Then when I heard it was going to be everybody sumoing at once, I got nervous.
and then it was time for the challenge.
This guy, I know what I'll do. I'll run into the middle, spin a circle, and run out, and then start skirt around the outside.
I'm glad that Mike did his little thing where he ran into the circle and
So Mike starts running toward me, and I'm thinking, oh, Mike wants to engage with me, and immediately turns around and starts running in circles. And I'm like, what the heck is going on with Mike? So all the attention is on Mike. Everybody's focusing on Mike. Everybody starts attacking Mike at once. And now I'm squared off with Jeff Chan, and Rokas is on my 6 over here, or my 3, I don't know. He's over on my right. I got confused here. And Jeff Chan starts engaging with me a little bit.
The smaller guys take one look at me and they're like, nope.
My game plan at the beginning was stay out of the way.
Yeah, this was interesting. So the only people who engaged with me at all were Jeff Chan and Sensei Seth. Everybody else was like, nope, skip. Let's go get the smaller dudes, the easier targets.
Somebody will eventually still get someone out, but I see this opportunity. Mike and Matt tangled together. This is my chance. Seth was in my way. I don't care.
So there we have me and Jeff squared up, and that was fun. Again, I wish I would have got a chance to grapple with Jeff or do an MMA round. We were planning on doing a Sanda round later, a Sanda sparring round, which we did, and then an MMA round, but it was like midnight, and Jeff had already sparred like everybody for like an hour, and he was like, dude, I'm tired, I'm going to bed. Which made perfect sense because I was exhausted as you know, massive sleep deprivation. So unfortunately, I would have loved it. I would have loved it if we could have just got together to just do YouTube stuff and sparring and making videos the whole time without the whole self-defense championship thing going on at the same time. This weird self-defense championship thing with all these weird events and this team of aggressive rugby players coming in every other event to try to squash us brought us together in a very unique way that we wouldn't have gotten if it wasn't for this shared experience that we had.
Dude, I just pushed him away. Bam!
And I felt us going. I could let Mike go and spare him, but then there was another part of me that was like, nah, f that. So I just stuck my underhook. I'm gonna make sure Matt hits the ground first. I did like a semi-sacrifice throw.
Fortunately for Mike, Matt hit the ground with his back first, giving Icy Mike 2 points and...
Yeah, as far as the points go, the points for this were made up ex post facto. Originally, Rokas wanted to give 1 point to the winner of the whole thing, so the winner of the event would get 1 point, everybody else would get 0. But then Mike petitioned and said, hey, that doesn't seem fair. The guys who went out later should get more points and not just 0. And so the points were changed because of Mike's request. So, in other words, if we can change the way the scoring goes as the competition continues, it's not a serious competition. It was a fun event. It's a fun drill. Maybe even a useful drill. But as far as an actual competition, I'm not taking this seriously as a competition anymore. If we can just arbitrarily change the rules, the scoring system, etc.
moment raising him up rank and leading Matt with 1 point.
Oh, Sorokas did engage with me briefly, and I pushed him away, and that was it. And then Jeff comes, I do some...
Groups as I could, and when other people engage...
Basically just push hands. Like Jeff is trying to get underhooks, and I'm just pushing him.
My plan is, okay, I'll just bump into Jeff Chan and set...
And everybody's ignoring me. This is great. I'm just conserving my energy. Everybody's fighting each other. I'm like, okay, let them do their thing. I could have run over there and pushed them all out at once. That would have been great, but...
I get eliminated next, scoring 3 points. But the 3
What's
guys
the fun in
still
that?
have a battle to settle.
3 of us left, and I'm like, let's go for him. I go for Jeff, because I'm afraid of the double.
Sensei Seth eliminated Jeff Chan, leaving Jeff with 4 points, and us with a final battle between Sensei Seth and Ramsey Dewey.
Ramsey was much stronger than I expected. He starts doing push hand.
That's very kind of Seth to say, because, man, I was feeling weak. I was feeling so weak. Like, the amount of strength I lost from COVID, and I'm just getting over COVID right here. The amount of strength I lost, 30 pounds of lean body mass that I lost from COVID. I felt so incredibly weak. Like, before COVID, I was about the same weight as Seth right there. I'm a little taller. After COVID, I'm about 30 pounds lighter. It surprised me to hear Seth say he was shocked at how strong I was, unless he thought I was a complete weakling, because I felt like a complete weakling here. But push hands, it's a way of, how can I put this? Taiji is this form of creating structure. Like a lot of the Taiji nerds say peng, which just means structure. It means like a little shed or a little building, a little hovel. But it means structure. It's like rooting yourself into the floor, aligning your bones in a very specific way that even if you are not strong in a muscular, tensile muscle strength sort of way, you've got strong structure. So I'm feeling super weak here. But what Seth is feeling is the structure, if you will.
My stomach.
Taijiquan, the Tai Chi nerds be like, yes, we're validated now because you use some push hands technique. Now that the pushing is over, now I'll showcase my grappling, I'll tie up with them. That was my mistake.
Yeah, that was a mistake in this case because, again, I didn't have the strength to start wrestling with Seth here. Seth has really good posture. Like I'm trying to do a snap down from a collar tie and an underhook to rotate him, and his feet are pretty deep in the sand, and his posture is really nice, really strong. And so I'm not able to get the snap down. I'm not able to set up the takedown that I want. Good job, Seth. Seth is doing really well as far as sumo goes. So go check out Seth's videos on sumo wrestling.
A lot of folks were probably thinking, how do I win this? What's the best hiding spot? And I'm just thinking, like, what happened? 6 dudes with knives intent on murdering you. I want to know, what did I do to these guys beforehand to make them want to murder me?
Going into the building, team 2 decide.
That's a legitimate question. That's a totally legitimate question. I know it's just a fun drill and all that for the sake of a competition, but that's a legitimate question. People ask me all the time, like, what do I do about this street fight scenario? Don't get into street fights. But why are you getting into a street fight? What happened before that caused you to get into a street fight? Why does this guy with a knife want to murder you? Why does this guy with a gun want to shoot you? That doesn't come out of nowhere. Something happened beforehand that led up to that. What was it? Address that issue first. That's the real problem. That is the real problem. Addressing worst-case scenarios, like, what do you do when the 6 guys with knives intent on murdering you start to chase you down? That's like putting a Band-Aid on a giant gaping wound, man. What caused the giant gaping wound in the first place? Do you remember Split Second Survival? They were this crazy self-defense group in Alaska, and they had the craziest videos. It was the worst case scenarios, like 3 guys pointing guns at you, one has a knife to your guts, you're hanging over a pit of sharks, you're on fire, you have 3 seconds to survive, go! And then they would come up with the craziest, most convoluted John Wick-style solutions to these problems you can possibly imagine. I made a couple of reviews of their videos, they didn't like it, they made their Facebook group private, and so the public no longer has access to their beautiful, amazing library of worst-case scenario videos. It was so entertaining. I love those guys. Split-second survival. Come on, let's be friends. Make it public and let's see it. Just embrace the fact that it's kind of funny. I mean, I can appreciate the fact that you're trying to figure out that your whole MO is worst-case scenarios, and that's kind of awesome. It's kind of unique. I realize people are going to make fun and say, yeah, that would never happen. It probably won't. But it's fun, man. It's a fun idea. Embrace the fun, guys. Anyway, but as far as practical self-defense, we have to ask ourselves, what led up to the worst case scenario? Because we can nip that in the bud. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It really is, man.
Stick together and devised an elaborate plan.
Jeff was like, I feel like I got a really good rear naked choke. If we could just catch one by surprise, I'll sink that in. I was like, sick. Okay, I'll go for the knife arm. Ramsey, if there's another one, you just keep him at bay. We're all in agreement. So I turned around to look at the door. I turned back around. They had both disappeared.
So we came up with a plan, which we didn't follow at all. All right, 1, 2, 3, go. Let's execute the plan. Suddenly everybody went in a different direction, which was not the plan at all. Jeff was hid in the shadows somewhere. Matt hidden somewhere, I don't know. And I was like, well, I guess I should probably hide.
I was at a hiding spot behind the bleachers.
Okay, so spoiler alert, we all hid and we all eventually got killed at different moments. So, what was the plan that we came up with? Well, we came up with 3 or 4 different plans, if memory serves me right. So Jeff did have this idea. He's like, I think I could rear naked choke one of these guys, and then we could get the knife. And I said, okay. Now, we were waiting in a room, and the room had a door, and there were some iron ingots on the floor, weighed maybe like 20 kilos each, 30 kilos, something like that. And I thought we could use these to barricade the door so that it would open just enough, and we could like jam ourselves behind the door, let them know we're in here, so they'll start trying to press in. They'll stick their hands in. We can start attacking the hands, get the knife away, let one guy in, Jeff will jump on him, strangle him, while the others, control the guy from the front. One of us will keep the door shut, we'll take one out at a time. I was thinking, this is a great plan. It's a great plan. Take him out one at a time, let the other guy in, jump him, take the knife, swat it out of his hand while he's sticking through the door, etc. We abandoned that plan. So we discussed battle formations. There's 6 of them, there's 3 of us. We have the best chance if we stick together. Because they're probably going to split up looking for us, but they're probably going to travel in 2s, maybe 3s. We don't know. Probably not singles. So we came up with a few different ideas of battle formations, who would be in the lead, who would be on the flanks, etc. And what we would do if we encountered 1, 2, or 3 guys while we're searching for our way out. That probably would have been a decent plan. Matt had another plan. Matt was familiar with this location. He'd done this drill before in this particular warehouse, and he suggested climb up into the scaffolding, like on the 2nd or 3rd floor or something, because above the theater there's like the scaffolding. His idea was to climb up there, because there's only one way up and one way down, which is a ladder. And his idea was that they try to climb the ladder, and essentially we can theoretically kick them down or something like that. And as you see in the video, they climbed up after Matt. He did climb up there. I didn't like that idea because, 1, I couldn't see anything through the helmet, and I'm like, yeah, I'm probably going to fall to my death if I climb up anywhere. And 2, there's only one way down, which is directly into the lion's den, directly down into the dudes with the knives. And I don't know if they're going to respect theoretical kicks or theoretical danger. Because, yeah, we have no idea. We could maybe punch them, kick them, whatever. We don't know what level of violence they're going to respect unless it's actual stopping force. And from 100 feet up, actual stopping force equals death. So we're not going to do that. So, again, 3 plans. Battle formation, bar the door, take out the knife hand one at a time, let the dudes in one at a time and take them out, destroy their whole team, and then exit safely. And 3, climb up really, really high and pick them off on the ladder. Anyway, we never came to a consensus of which plan we were going to follow. We go in there, they say go, I look around, everybody's gone. Apparently that's what everybody else seemed to think. Like, Jeff looked around, everybody was gone. Matt looked around, everybody was gone. We're all having the same experience. And I'm blind. I got the blind spot in the middle. I got the blinders on with the headgear cutting off the peripherals. All I can see really is shades of light. And so I find the deepest, darkest place I can find.
Didn't see me there. And then he saw the GoPro light. He was trying to stab.
Oh man, those GoPro lights were a problem. So we were all wearing a GoPro camera on our chest, and they had a light, a bright, flashing light. And I thought, man, this is going to be a problem. I tried covering it with my hands, but you could still see the light shining through the hands. And so I found the darkest spot I could find, which was under the bleachers. And under the bleachers, I found an old sweatshirt. And I covered up the GoPro with the sweatshirt so you couldn't see the light. Because if they saw a flashing light under there, they would know.
I actually caught his wrist and I was controlling for a while, and then I broke free and I broke it, I ran.
So they were shouting at Jeff. There was a lot of shouting and struggling, and I was like, man, I should run out there and help Jeff, but I have no idea where he is. I can't see the layout of the building. I don't know what the layout of the building is. I'm wondering to myself, how am I going to make it through this? How am I going to find the exit? Because I've essentially been led over here with a bag on my head, if you will. The helmet on my head, blindfolded. Stuck in the middle of a dark building, in the dark. And I don't know my way out. I don't know how I'm going to find my way out. I don't know where Jeff is. All I hear is sounds echoing off of walls, and I'm not a bat. My sense of echolocation is not good. However, my sense of feeling is. So I put my ear to the floor so that I could feel where people were in the building. So at this point, Jeff was already close to the entrance. I was like, man, there's no way I'm going to get to Jeff before they get him. And I can feel Matt is climbing up. And I can feel where the other guys are in the building. And I feel the guys start to congregate toward what feels like it probably should be an exit. And I can feel all of this with my ear to the floor.
I did swear a lot, so I apologize for the language, but I have to get emotional.
Matt swore a lot. We hear, Rokas is bleeping out a few choice words in this line, but this went on for some time. Oh man, Matt really got emotionally invested in this. Like, really, I didn't think he was acting. I was like, dude, there's a serious problem here. Like, Matt is screaming at these dudes. They're swearing. They're shouting back. There's a lot of back and forth. I'm like, the heck is going on here? This isn't a game anymore. This is... I talked to Matt afterward. I said, dude, that sounded personal. He's like, no, man, we're just role-playing. I'm like, you guys role-play, but hard, man. You role-play hard. I think.
Invested? They're chasing me with knives. I just want them to know that, like, you a little bit.
Get the I want to actually beat you, but I just like one after. I want to beat you right in the face.
Pretended to kick him in the face. I remember probably can't actually kick him in the face.
I would be kicking you in the face, theoretically.
So
The theoretical kicks. And again, this is an interesting point in a competition where a guy's climbing up after you. He's on a ladder, and we have to address, like, what level of force is okay. I mean, they're coming after us with markers, trying to put marks on us, representing death. That's theoretical, okay? If they theoretically mark us with the markers, we're theoretically dead. Matt is theoretically kicking this guy in the face, which would lead to his death, but he still keeps coming. So, essentially, the attackers are immortal in this scenario. So, if we did go with plan number 1, which was to hole up in a room with only one way in, and let one guy's arm in, attack the arm, take the knife away, beat the guy up, choke him out, whatever. Assuming these guys are immortal attackers, they would just get back up and keep fighting us. So, essentially, we're fighting a bunch of Highlanders without swords, is what's going on here.
I'm a bit of an expert in hide and seek. If you have spent a meaningful amount of time
That's
with
true.
your own small children, you've probably played hide and go seek. If you live in a fairly small apartment like I do, you only have so many places to hide, so you have to understand the nuances of light and shading and shadow and your eyes adjusting to the dark. So I found the best hiding place where people would look directly at me for as long as possible and not see me.
Ramsey
And they did. They walked right by me. They looked straight at me. For prolonged periods of time, they were unable to see me. Why? Because I understand light and shadow. Again, I'm going into this mostly blind, but I can still see the light and the shadow. And I understand how human eyes work. It's something I've studied extensively. Our eyes are not cameras. We often think they are. They don't work like cameras. They are imaging probability generators of what will probably happen a fraction of a second in the future based on previous experiences. And so every one of these guys looked directly at me. They came incredibly close. Now, Rokas is showing you the bleacher side, but the access side to this hiding spot is on the opposite side of these stairs. There's a walkway behind the stairs. Once again, I'm seriously sleep deprived. I haven't slept in multiple days, outside of lying in a bed, jet-lagged and unable to fall asleep. And I was tired. I'm lying on the ground with my ear to the floor so I can feel where people are going and coming. And I'm exhausted. And I start to drift off. And I'm wearing this helmet. It's not only difficult to see anything, but it's difficult to breathe. And I start drifting off. And I think I lied there for about 20 minutes. And then eventually I kind of come to and I'm like, I should probably start participating in this game or it's going to get weird. So my ear to the floor, I feel where everybody's congregating. And I'm like, okay, I can feel where in the building they are. They're probably by an exit. I don't know where the exits are. I remember they said there were some upstairs, downstairs. I don't know where the exits are. If I start climbing stairs, they will probably hear that. So I've got to be sneaky. I've got to be quiet. So that sweatshirt that I had that I covered up the GoPro with, I took that with me because I needed something just in case I had to face one of these guys. And A sweatshirt as a shield to stop a knife is way better than nothing. In fact, it's a pretty decent weapon. So this guy comes in. I tie up that knife with the first guy for the most part, but the second guy comes in, I push the first guy away, and then they tackle me, and it's over. The end. No points for anyone. People cheer, but I'm lying on the ground. That was a nice, gentle tackle. You saw Adrian right there. He's the rugby player. Went in for the legs. Nice, gentle tackle. I appreciated that. I appreciate that it wasn't like a boom, let's kill him type of thing. So, because man, again, I was having a rough time with the sleep deprivation. I will be reviewing the next episode pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.